Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is your host, Rising Oblivion. Today, guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience so far with the PlayStation 5 and also the JRPGs that I've been currently playing on it, how they run, things like that. This is going to be more of a focus on Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate and Persona 5 Royal. There are a few other games here and there that are also available on the PS5, but I feel like those two are kind of what I'm going to focus more on this video, and a bit more of an impressions when it comes to something like the PS5. So just sort of gaming on it in general, how good it is with next-gen hardware when it comes to JRPGs and whatnot. But let's go over the little story here as to how I got a PS5. No, I didn't get a priced, like, gouged version, kind of. I didn't buy it off eBay or anything, but basically my GameStop said, hey, we have 10 consoles left, for the most part. They didn't say that exactly. All they said was on the door, hey, we're going to be stocked with PS5s this Saturday. You know, if you want one, maybe show up. And I showed up an hour early from them opening up, and I managed to get sixth in line, might I add, and there were only 4 more PS5s after me, so they only had 10 in stock, and I was 6th in line from being an entire hour early. So if you're wondering if it's still kind of difficult to get a PS5, the answer to that would be yes, definitely. Had I been another 10 or 20 minutes later, I probably would not have gotten one, because there already was a much bigger line forming just 10-20 minutes after I had gotten there, to the point where there were already people who could not get theirs. But let's move past that and talk a little bit about what I got. So I have the physical version, so I used a physical disc to have something like Persona 5 Royal on there, and to have the Final Fantasy Remake Integrate. I got the free copy of that on there, and I paid for the DLC, the Yuffie DLC, 3 days ago, even though I have the PlayStation subscription service, which, as of yesterday, gave it out for free. And I basically spent $20 for no reason, which really sucks. I wish I had just waited a little bit longer, but I thought for sure I would have been streaming it the past weekend or something like that, and I wanted to be ready and have things going. But that's kind of my experience with the PS5, what I've done so far. I've played Demon's Souls, a couple other games. I'm going to have some gameplay footage of stuff that I've played myself on the PS5 and whatnot. But yeah, so I got a physical version, I got a controller with it, of course, and I also got the red controller as well with it. If you want a little bit of a video just showing off the different stuff there, I could do that, but I figured with just how old the console is, I wasn't going to do that. But if you really want more of my in-depth impressions on like the hardware and like software things, please let me know down in the comment section below. I could definitely go more on that, but let's talk more about when it comes to the games and whatnot. So as we know, the PS5 has a SSD, which means that it's going to have much better, much faster, you know, when it comes to download speeds, when it comes to basically loading in new parts of levels, and of course also the graphical upgrades. That is in mind, certain games are able to support it. So Persona 5 Royal, for instance, is not a game that is going to be able to do that. It has to, you know, we have to wait until we get that remastered version, which is going to be coming out, you know, 5-ish months from now or whatever. The Persona 5 Royal, like, so-called like remaster, I guess you could say, is what it is when it's coming to next gen. So that game really isn't changing a whole lot, but we are seeing load time changes. And I made a video about this, I think a year ago, somewhere around when the PS5 had come out, and it is faster. However, Persona 5 Royal in general wasn't a very, you know, slowly loaded in game. It didn't very take, you know, a super long time. The longest cutscenes you really had to, you know, wait for, I guess load screens, I guess what I meant to say, is a lot of times is transitioning from town to town when it came to, I guess like the overworld dungeons and stuff didn't seem to be too bad. I think it's because a lot of reused assets and things are used there, and there wasn't a very long load time there. Also, leaving palaces also kind of had a bit of a load time there as well, and I've noticed that these load times are completely destroyed. Like, it is way faster, significantly faster, but like I said, Persona 5 Royal really wasn't too crazy. But let's move on to something that I think is a huge improvement, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh my god, does it look so much better. Something about playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS5 and then playing it on the PS4, it almost makes me think it wasn't supposed to release on the PS4. I know it was, but Dude, like, it seriously looks so much better. It loads so much faster. I remember there being very long, you know, and I have a PlayStation 4 Pro, which I think the hard drive's a little bit better than the standard ones, but still, like, it is such a, like, long load time. But playing Persona 5 and then playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, you feel like, yeah, P5R kind of felt like it was sort of made for everything, right? It's a board game that's ported over from the PS3, like, it's still old development stuff, but the Final Fantasy VII Remake has so much more to it, graphically, in terms of combat as well. There's a lot more that the, you know, graphics have to do, and you need to have more RAM, and you need to also have a faster hard drive to load in brand new levels and brand new parts. If you're playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It doesn't try to always do a bunch of different load screens all the time because it wants to be a bit cohesive, especially once you get towards the middle section of the Final Fantasy Remake where you're going from all of the different towns. You're noticing that there are not really long cutscenes there. It tries to transition you through these different places, and you could choose to do that. You can have the chocobo, I guess, like, chariot thing take you around, and there's a load screen there because it's taking you to the next, like, completely other city in a couple seconds. But being able to walk from place to place feels so cohesive, and it doesn't feel sluggish at all. I've never noticed any frame rate droppings or anything like that at all. Whenever I jumped over to the Yuffie DLC and played a little bit of that, I'll be streaming the whole thing probably on my Twitch channel or here on the main channel. I'll probably stream it here on the YouTube channel because I think it fits. I think it's still relevant. I think people still want to see that here. But when I played that, it felt so good. It felt very smooth. I remember especially doing, like, abilities and using magic and things like that. It would sometimes drop frames or lose frames when I played it on my PS4 Pro, but playing it on that and then playing the Yuffie DLC especially, it's super fast paced and the abilities go boom on a fly. It's very quick, and I enjoy that. I feel like the Final Fantasy VII Remake or Remake Integrate, however you want to put it, feels like I said, it feels like it's meant for next gen because it's just such a different experience playing it on there and being able to have things loaded in. The game had a lot of criticisms, especially with the, you know, the infamous door, if you know what I'm talking about. It had such bad criticisms when it came to dropping frames in combat, the backgrounds of the game looking very bad, because, you know, Midgar is a huge place and you look up and you see all these pipes and all this intricate art, and it just kind of looks terrible. Like, it looks like it was, you know, like, took out of the original Final Fantasy. Like, it's so bad at times. And, you know, anything that wasn't pre-rendered, like a cutscene or something like that, you noticed that it looked different from things that were. Like, Final Fantasy, you know, Square Enix in general does a very good job at, like, pre-rendered cutscenes. They always make them look super, super nice, but, like, it always ends up looking night and day when it comes to the in-game models, like the models using in combat and stuff. But because of that faster transition with the load screens and also the rendering being much nicer and much faster, you feel like the characters you're playing as really were the exact same models and looked exactly the same as the thing that is within those cutscenes. Because a lot of times when it drops, you know, completely rendered parts of a whole character, especially in their faces, that's where you notice it a lot as well. You know, look at Tifa in a cutscene versus Tifa, you know, out in the battlefield. It looks so much different on last gen, but you do this on the PS5 and oh my gosh, dude, it looks night and day in comparison, which I still recommend playing Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS4 if you can. It's still a very good experience. I think it takes, like, an experience that's like an 8 out of 10, but, like, playing it on the PS5 is like almost a 9 out of 10 or something like that, especially if you're including the Yuffie DLC, which is so fun to play. And that's really what I've been focusing on. And I've been playing Demon Souls, and I know that's not something that this channel really, you know, like Soulsborne games aren't something I've really talked about on the channel, other than maybe some podcasts, but that game also looks absolutely beautiful. I know Final Fantasy 16 is going to be also on the console as well, and it seems like games that are fully developed, like Demon Souls, for the PS5 really do harness the hardware there. Because I've noticed a lot of games that jump to the PS5, a lot of times they have a resolution mode, or they have a, you know, a mode more centered towards frame rate, where it's worrying more about making the game look like a pretty decent 1080p but have a higher frame rate, like something like 120 frames, or they let the resolution kick to 4K and they have something like 60 frames, so you're sort of limiting yourself on one thing or the other, either the smoothness of the gameplay or the looks of the gameplay. But games that seem like they were built with the hardware in mind of the PS5 doesn't feel like they have to compensate. It feels like that those games are the games that, like, you know, they knew ahead of time what to do, what to make look nice in order to keep the highest amount of frames, but also keep the resolution as high as possible as well. And playing things like Demon Souls and any of these other next-gen games, like Ghost of Tsushima, for instance, I think that also had a lot of the PS5 in mind for it as well. I think they more than likely went more for the PS5 for that, but dumbed it down a teeny bit for the PS4, because if you go and look at the development of Ghost of Tsushima, it's such a beautiful game. Like, that seems like it was meant for the PS5, and playing it and experiencing it on the PS5, it's not as night and day as Final Fantasy VII Remake, but you start to notice the certain things there that definitely make it seem so much better on the PS5. Like I said, these games are still good. Play them on last gen if you can, but this is just my personal experience having a PS5. And the user interface makes things easy. You can carry over save data to the cloud on your PS4 and bring that over to the PS5 for a lot of the different games here if you want to carry over your progress. So it's not bad. That's kind of my first impressions when it comes to the select few JRPGs that I have. The PlayStation Plus service has pretty much Final Fantasies like 7 through 10 to 15 or whatever, so you're set when it comes to games like that. Base P5 is also on there as well, but if you have Persona 5 Royal, you can slap that bad boy into the PS5 and then boom, you get the game for free. A lot of games are doing that, which is nice. Like I said, Final Fantasy VII Remake I got for free anyway just by popping it in, and I got a free PS5 version of the game. It's not the PS4 version, it's the PS5 version. It's technically Intergrade, but I just don't have the Yuffie DLC because I had to buy it. But like I said, it's free now, which is bullshit. I wasted $20, but it is what it is. But there's still plenty of games on there. I recommend, I think, around this time to get a PS5. Personally, I think it's now well worth the upgrade, especially with the games that get upgrades from the PS4 versions to PS5 versions. Like I said, either you're getting more resolution or you're getting more frame rates. It's usually something in between there for games that are meant for the console in mind. So that's kind of what you're kind of dealing with, but still, most games, no matter what, are going to be upgraded in some way, which it makes sense. It's better hardware. I mean, that's just what a new console does, right? It doesn't play bad, and it actually plays really well. The PlayStation Plus service also gives out loads and loads of games. Just yesterday, like I said, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade became free on there. It also gave us the new cat game. It gave us Stray for free. I don't have to pay for Stray because I already have it there, and I have it on the PS5, which also looks super beautiful as well and plays really nicely. I love the controller. Honestly, I didn't expect this to be such a big upgrade, but I was kind of blown away by how significantly better it is from the PS4, because when I had the PS3 and jumped to the PS4, I noticed that there was a lot of improvements when it came to online stuff, right? Party chat, better friends list, friend invites, stuff like that, but there wasn't a huge focus on the games. With the PS5, you have a trophy system that pops things up there. It keeps track of your challenges. It keeps track of what players are playing the games. You don't have to click into your party to find what friends are playing what games. Boom, right there on the game screen. It shows who's playing what, how to join the parties. You can request to join them. You can play with your friends. You can make it super easy. It seems like the ease of life stuff that everybody has been asking for the PS4. It is in there on the PS5. I'm not sure if it took some time for some of those things to be updated or added there later. I'm not 100% sure about that. Like I said, I got it, the PS5, I'd say 3 weeks ago. So these are more first impression stuff, but I really am blown away. And this isn't just me just pumping it up because it's a new console, but you know, I genuinely feel that way. Because the PS4, I honestly didn't think was a very huge improvement, but single player games, multiplayer games, both of those things have significant jumps when it comes to the PS5. Like I said, with load times and things. Multiplayer games typically don't focus on how cinematically they look, graphics and whatnot. you know, compared to something like Demon Souls, which is a single player game. It seems like the PS5 caters to even single player games in terms of frame rate and the SSD for load times, but also it caters also to just games in general and multiplayer games with a better party system, a system that allows you to control, you know, closed parties and whatnot, having your friends be able to join whenever they want, and clicking right there next to the game to join your friends who are currently in your party, and also be able to invite them immediately as well. So honestly, it's such a major improvement. I love it. I don't know what else to say. Hopefully this covered some questions you might have about Persona 5 Royal. If you have anything else to ask me, ask down below, because I know how limited this is. I'm not trying to sound high and mighty and be on a high horse, but I genuinely want to inform people about it, let them know what they want to know about this, and I'll be streaming more games here on my YouTube channel, but also on my Twitch. I've been doing some Demon Souls, stuff like that, so link down in the description below if you want to follow my Twitch channel. Like I said, I've been streaming a lot of games there. I've been going through the old Final Fantasy games on my PC as well. I took a little bit of a break because I didn't think I was going to get this PS5. I kind of went out on a whim to get it from GameStop. I know, GameStop, but I still did it, and I still got it. So yeah, that's kind of where I am currently with the PS5. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe for more content. As always, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching.